We're here today at Shades of Grace United Methodist Church, which is in the Five Points area of downtown Kingsport, and talking to some of the folks who work and volunteer here. And if you could just give me your name and title, and then we'll ask you a few questions.
I'm Pastor Michele Beck, and I'm one of the volunteer staff pastors.
Okay. And you, sir?
Steve Wells, lay leader.
And of course...
I'm Will Shewey, pastor at Shades of Grace.
Okay, I'm going to ask a few questions, and y'all can just chime in when you'd like to. The series and the package of stories we're doing is about methamphetamines, but about drugs in general, but specifically that. If y'all could just share some of the things that y'all have seen about that happening, things that have occurred here or that you've personally experienced, and anybody can start who...
I can give you one example of a young man who walked into our building. This event happened before the pandemic began, and things have changed a lot in our storefront church during the pandemic. But pre-pandemic, this building would be open every day, 8-9 hours, sometimes at night, and we had lots of people here all the time. One day, a young man came in the door, and he slumped down in a chair just a few feet inside the door, and the next thing we know, someone yelled that he was in the floor, he was unconscious, and there was no heartbeat, there was no breathing, there was no response whatsoever. And to make a long story short, we keep Narcan here in the building. It was administered to him, which immediately brought him back to a conscious state. And within a matter of a few minutes, he was back up and on his feet and on his way. Sadly, about 2 months later, the young man came in the building again, and in another section of the building, I just happened to see him go down against a wall. And immediately, again, he was unconscious, and we were able to administer Narcan and a whole lot of prayers. He did survive both of those incidences, but he did share with me that his drug of use is methamphetamines. And it was the meth that he was under the influence of. And fortunately, he was not in a back alley or in an abandoned building or alone, because no doubt seconds and minutes make all the difference. He would have died if he had not been at Shades of Grace. And so we are therefore a safe sanctuary and a place where we want people to know they can come, where they can find the help that they so desperately need.
And what are some of the things that the other two of you have seen or heard or experienced here along those lines, or are there other stories?
Well, I guess it was just 4 months ago, we had a young lady who was staying out back, sleeping in whatever little cubby hole she could find between these 6 buildings. And she had a lot of mental issues, but one day, just out of the blue, I guess she just got a hold of something that was pretty bad, and she's back there just running around completely naked, just talking to herself, looking at the sky, just wandering off into space. And of course, we had to call the police in that situation, but a few days later, she was back, and a lot of stuff ties in together with the drugs, the mental illness. And we just have to deal with a lot of people that fall into that category and try to show them love, grace, and understanding, because everybody has some kind of an issue somewhere.
Is she still around, or y'all see her recently?
I have not seen her in about 2 months.
Yeah, at least 2 months. Yeah.
But that's the way it is with our community. They come and they go.
And what about you? I understand you've had some past experiences before you came to Tennessee.
Yes, I came from upstate New York, where I was part of a faith-based 12-month residential rehab program, and it was interesting because some of the residents were there by choice, which it really has to be if it's going to be effective. But the expression, "I'm here because I have back pain," and it was because someone had put pressure, either the court system or a family member, a job, you know, some external pressure. And usually at about 3 months, those residents were feeling pretty good about themselves, being, you know, clean from drugs for, you know, that period of time, and thought they could make it. And there was a high dropout rate about 3 months. But those that stuck it out for the 12 month generally were successful, were able to reconnect with family, jobs. Some had businesses of their own and kept those going while they were there, and were able to go back to that. But think of the bigger picture, the rippling effect that it has on families and those who love these folks that have drug addictions. Like, we see a lot of grandmothers that come in here and they've spent their last dime. I mean, they've spent everything. They've been willing to just become destitute almost themselves, exhausting their resources to take care of this loved one. And they come in and want the best for them, and ask us if, you know, we have any connections to a rehab center or any place that we could get their person help. And we set that up, and in the end, if the individual has not really come to that decision themselves, they usually don't show up for the appointment, which is very, very difficult for us to see the devastation on the whole family or whoever the person is that maybe been taking care of them. And you know, people use the term enabling. Where do you draw the line? I mean, you know, I think as ministers of the gospel, we have to always reach out and help whenever we can, and just do what the Lord directs us to do. And if it means doing it over and over and over and over again, that's what we do here at Shades of Grace.